Pretty big news last week out of the AI generation space. OpenAI, the makers of Sora, have officially made Sora available to those of you that have ChatGPT Plus or now their new Pro subscriptions. So you can go ahead and log in to your ChatGPT account or go into Sora and actually get access into the AI generation tools. For those of you that don't know, Sora is an AI video generation tool where you can put in text and it will generate video based on the prompt that you enter. Of course, the quality of the video is going to be based on the quality of your prompt, but just from a couple of quick uses, I'm finding it very impressive, but with a lot of pitfalls. And I'm going to share with you real quick how I'm going to be using it, both from a consultative standpoint, also from a business standpoint of how I can help companies that I work with and for use these tools to create videos faster. We'll also dabble a little bit in where should it go from there and potentially some of the ethics about it. So real quick, right on the home screen, you're seeing some pretty impressive looking AI generated content here. All of these are prompts that had created video through Sora. We have a couple of things that looking amazing. The quality of what this ladybug looks like crawling on this branch with these water droplets. So real quick, I'm gonna go ahead and actually create a video. So oftentimes I can see a use case for myself where, yes, I'm not going to create an entire video out of AI. If I'm going to be recording an interview with somebody like an executive or a product manager or somebody in a corporation, their words and their presence, they are the star of that. I don't want to generate that. But what I do often come across are needs for things like B-roll or supplementary footage. When we're talking about somebody working on a computer, we might want to go to a shot of somebody working on a computer. Now, in the past, I had two choices. I either go and film an employee or that person at their desk, or I go and pour hours into a stock footage library trying to find the right piece of footage at the right length with the right tone and the right coloring and the right folks that I want to use in that footage. But now I might have the ability to actually cut a lot of that out and create the footage I need just through a text prompt. So for example, I may want to convey hyperspeed or technology that's moving fast. So oftentimes you'll see, if you're watching like a communications, like a Comcast or a Time Warner or a Cox Communications commercial, they're talking about lightning fast speeds. So you'll often see an aerial view of a highway in the evening. The camera's usually steady and cars are passing at super fast speeds, leaving trails of their taillights and their headlights as they drive by. There are several roads in this view showing hundreds of cars driving on these roads. So this is an example of something you might see that I would spend time looking at footage in these libraries to go and hunt for to end up using as part of my supplemental footage. So when I create something like this, before I actually create the video, Sora is analyzing what I'm writing and actually rewriting that into a better prompt for it to understand, which I can come in and edit. But after quick review of this, I am pretty satisfied with what it came through with. So I'm going to go ahead and hit create. When I'm creating this video, you see it's added to the queue in the top right. There's a couple of options that I have. I can either create a 16:9 or a 19:6. So if I'm going landscape or portrait, if you're creating content for iPhone or mobile consumption, that might be your best route. Or 1:1, do a square video. I can choose 720p, 480p, or if I did have a pro account, which I'm not paying for, I could get 1080p. And I can choose a length. Right now, I can only generate up to 5 seconds. Or if I had pro, I can go up to 20 seconds of footage. As it's generating this content, we can see that it is almost complete in that activity. But here's something I was thinking about. It's rare. So, wow. This is actually really impressive. So from first glance, this is pretty much exactly what I'm looking for. I wanted high-speed, fast-moving footage of these lights. I see the taillights leaving the glare behind. We aren't steady like I asked, but this is like a nice kind of not panning, but a trucking shot as if I was in a drone or a helicopter before we had drones, capturing footage of a city. This is something I could absolutely use when someone's talking about network speeds are through the roof and we've seen 5x ROI and here or there. Now, here are things that I haven't done yet. I haven't hyperanalyzed this footage. What could be in this footage that might not be okay for me? Is there a word or a billboard or anything in here that might not be aligned with the company's brand, with the tone that they want to set? anything that they might consider offensive or inaccurate. So even here, I'm looking real quick. This is a very strange off and on ramp. That just doesn't seem right. But here's the thing. And also, this is supposed to be an off ramp, right? Why am I seeing headlights on there? Who's driving into this here? At first glance, this might pass the sniff test. And typically when I'm creating videos that are super quick. And you're only going to see this on screen for 3 to 5 seconds. And you'll never see it again unless you are going back and forth over that footage to see what is actually in that video, which is not what people do. So this could pass well over people's heads and get buried into the mistakes they never end up seeing. But as impressive as this is, we can take a look at other videos that I've created that have been very interesting. So here's an example of a busy sidewalk. So oftentimes if we're creating videos for someone, we might need a busy sidewalk where people are just walking all around to just show busyness and productivity, a great B-roll shot. This isn't what I'd want. I kind of want something steady, but very interesting to see kind of a point of view shot of somebody walking in what appears to be New York on a busy sidewalk here. But if you start kind of looking at this video, you'll notice that there's weird things that are in here. And let's take a look frame by frame for a second. So as we start, over on the left here, we've got a gentleman and a woman here that are walking kind of at each other in a bit. But if we watch how they walk, he is sidestepping into her. And all of a sudden, you'll see I don't know if that's his left foot or his right foot, but the foot furthest away comes over and then becomes the woman's foot. And then if we keep watching, the woman is gone. We have no idea what kind of David Copperfield game she played. She up and out left. Now, that's not the only thing that's very strange. Let's look at this gentleman in the middle with the jeans and the bag and the mask. So if we start at the beginning, we'll see that he has 2 feet kind of right behind each other. And as we progress forward, one foot moves forward, which now clearly looks like his left leg is stepping down, which is a very strange thing to step sideways, but who am I? And then as his right foot comes across, you'll see it starts to go behind his leg as you'd expect the further foot to do. And then boom, all of a sudden it's on the other side of his leg. And now that is actually his left leg, and the right leg now traded places. And now that right leg comes across and now becomes the left leg again. So if you look closely at how people are walking and moving in this video, even like this gentleman here with the blazer and the bag, there are just some strange things happening when people are walking. So for example, left foot out, now right foot comes across, right foot comes across here and kind of steps okay. That doesn't look too bad, but then all of a sudden that left foot comes back in, steps into his right foot. So there are some very, very strange things here, but things I am impressed about, of course. You'll see even in here, like the pants on these folks are moving in the wind based on how they're walking. The lighting looks surprisingly accurate. It's very impressive to see what kind of things get generated in here. And then, of course, if I kind of back up, I did a couple of other videos. Here's an example of something I'd often use in some B-roll. I need 2 people working on a computer. So this generation looks pretty good, but for some reason, the other party, she's pointing at the wrist. So like there's weird things that are still hard for it to understand as it's creating this AI-generated content. But the lighting looks great. The quality looks great. They look relatively human. Like I wouldn't look at that and say something is clearly off in that until I see the action of the strange point. And then even something like this, I made a prompt where I wanted a mixing bowl of a bunch of words with the word content on it, saying it's mixing up content. Now, I look at this initially and I go, wow, Chrome mixing bowl, which is fantastic to see. The words are in there spinning around. I see the colors of the words actually reflecting against the Chrome in the mixer. And then you kind of look at the obvious and go, the mixing beaters are doing anything. And so it's things like this that I could probably fix in a reprompt to readjust this. But when I look at these, are these oftentimes good enough? Can I get away with using these as supplemental footage or B-roll in my content? I'm going to argue for most people, it's going to be a yes. But here's the problem you got to think of. there could be things in this footage I am overlooking or missing that, like I said earlier, could be offensive, could be vulgar. Words get generated in these things that we don't understand or know. And are we properly tagging these? It looks like OpenAI is putting proper watermarking in to give you this idea that the content you're looking at was generated. But is that clear? It doesn't say AI generated. Does that translate well? It's a logo and then this thinking looking generic bar. That's not a standard that people are going to understand. And then furthermore, what kind of impact does this have on the industry? So I do a lot of videography and photography for fun and for business and for my professional career. When I need to create or capture video that is supplementary, I'm often taking my camera, mostly alone, but oftentimes teams of people are going out to locations to capture this type of information or these types of scenes. You need your camera person, you need your lighting person. If you're bringing out lights, you need actors or actresses. If you're bringing people to interact in these spaces that you're capturing these footages from, producers. There's a whole slew of people that are now being cut out of the process as you create these. Now, for an individual contributor like myself who would spend hours hunting through footage, I would use this. I could find ways to use this instead of spending hours in a stock library. I would rather spend, I don't know, maybe I'm spending hours here generating footage, but I would like to believe that it will cut down the amount of time I need because I can describe exactly what I'm looking for. And if I don't like what's generated, I can ask to adjust it so it makes it exactly or hopefully closer to what I'm looking for. But the ultimate thing is we're responsible for what we create. The company's going to be responsible for that piece of content that they push out. And at what point do you relieve or let go of that responsibility? I feel if I'm passing a piece of footage over that has a vulgarity in it, that is something I should have caught before it got to the client. That is a poor reflection on me. So these are the types of things we still have to consider. Things that can be slipped into footage that we never would have thought about. Now, that's also a concern if I'm filming things out in public where maybe I'm filming a waterfall and I don't see someone in the background that I can't be capturing and I don't have a release for if they could be identified. So it doesn't solve all problems, but to be honest with you, this is going to speed up my content creation. It's going to help me with a lot of supplemental footage that I might need when I'm creating content. But here's what it's not really doing. It's not replacing my product demos. I still need to record screenshots and videos of using applications. I'm still going to need to record people, the talking heads, the executives, the management folks that need to tell the story that a business may use to create video to talk about their solutions and products and so forth. So what do you think? Do you think this is great? Would you use this? Do you think it's a waste? Do you think the technology is not there yet? Generally, I'm quite impressed for where we are and to see what happened over the past year. I can only imagine what next year is going to bring, but I'd love to know your thoughts.